hustlers, road players, tournament champions. Hear the stories, get their advice, learn about their lives. Our host, Joey Ryan, brings you an inside look at the professional pool player. You're listening to the Pool Player Podcast, brought to you by Pool Scene 365.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Joey Ryan Pool Player Podcast. Today's episode is, I think, awesome. I was able to get Karl Boyes on the podcast. Karl's been a fantastic player. He's won the World 8-Ball Championship. He's also, I think, a 3-time Mosconi Cup champion as a player. And then, of course, this past year, he was the vice captain of the European winning Mosconi Cup team. Even with all that pool pedigree, though, one of the things that I think is most impressive about Karl is his ability to communicate. If you've ever had a chance to listen to him commentate a match or be a part of an interview, he's just got this natural, fun, humorous way about him that is really attractive to people who might not be into pool. And I think folks like him are really people who can help us push this game forward and out to those people that don't currently watch pool or aren't big spectators or fans of the game. So today's episode, we get into a lot of great stuff. He even embarrasses me a couple times. It's classic episode, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Real quick, you'll notice behind me that blue wall. I just painted that wall when I did the interview with Karl yesterday, and so I was able to get some of my stuff hung back up on it today. There's a couple canvases there from Rick Schmitz, who lives out here in Tucson, but he also attends a lot of the events in Las Vegas. And so when you guys are out there, get in touch with me, get in touch with Rick. I got his information on every podcast. He can get you a canvas like that or some other format picture of you playing in competition, which is great. Also, you'll notice the American flag that's made out of wood. It's handmade by my neighbor, Anthony Gonzalez. And so I'll put some notes in the description about how you can get one of those by reaching out to Anthony on Instagram. He makes them right there in his garage across the street, and they're just fabulous. And so he hooked me up with that one. So guys, without further ado, Karl Boyes. Hey, Karl, thanks so much for joining. I appreciate you coming by the podcast.
No problem, Joe. It's a pleasure as always. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing great, and I'm really excited to get to know you a little better. I've wanted to get some Europeans on the podcast. I had Kelly Fisher, but I'm excited to learn more about you. Tell me, how did you get started playing pool?
I started when I was a young boy. I was 14, 15 in Manchester, started playing in the pubs. At first, didn't really kind of get the bug for it, and it was probably about a year and a half after, then I sort of got the bug for it, and I was going in the pubs and the clubs where I wasn't allowed because you had to be 18, and I think that's what made me a little hooked at the time.
So did you start off playing like English 8-ball, or was it 9-ball?
Yeah, that's what I started. That's sort of, obviously we've got snooker in England, and then you've got English 8-ball, even though there's no kind of big profitable tour in England. It's one of the most well played games. More people who play cue sports will probably play English 8-ball even than snooker, because a bit like over in America, you have the bar table. Over here, our English 8-ball table is the same size. It's 7x4, so you can sneak them in the pubs in the small rooms and stuff. So yeah, that's what I started out playing, the same as Darren Appleton.
So other than the table size, is it played the same? Like, are the rules the same as 8-ball in the United States, for example?
Not really, but I'll tell you what is very similar. Like in America, where you might have different rule sets, right?
Yeah.
It's the same in England. There's 2 or 3 different sets of rules, and it kind of makes it a bit of a mockery, and if you play one code, they're the best code, and if you play the other code, you say them rules are better and all that. So that's probably a big downfall, to be fair. But it's played on a rounded corner pocket, and obviously not the sharp cut like American pool. So the pocket's a lot tighter than your bar tables.
So tell me, was there a moment that you kind of realized, hey, I'm pretty good at this? Maybe this could be something for me to do for a profession.
Do you know, I wouldn't say there was. I think, and I don't know if other players would also answer like this, but I think you just kind of go on a journey, and then the next thing you've qualified for a particular tournament, or you've gone to a tournament and you do well, you might beat one of the names that's in that particular tournament, and then all of a sudden 20 years has gone by and you're an old man, right?
Yeah. Well, what about when you kind of made that jump to professional pool? There had to be an event or some place where you upset a couple good players and you're like, okay, now I'm a professional pool player. No?
To be honest, I see it a lot. I've seen it. I'm getting into the YouTube market at the moment. I've had a channel for about a month and a half, but with COVID restrictions and things like that, I've not been able to do what I want to do 100% on the channel yet. But I've released a few bits and bats, and I just think the issue you've got is you kind of just, like I said, you're just playing and you're playing. Joey, by the way, I'm getting a little bit distracted. I need to ask you to do something before we continue this conversation.
Okay.
I keep looking at your pool cue on the table, right?
Okay.
And the pool balls.
All right.
And is that the cue ball near the side pocket?
It is. It is. Yeah.
And the one ball is in the pocket, and that's the two ball.
That's the two ball.
Right. Can you make that in the corner?
That shot?
Yeah. Can you make it?
Carl, I play okay. I can,
let's see it then. There's a bit of heat on this.
You think so? You want me to shoot this right now?
Yeah, in the corner, and I will be generous and say you don't have to get shape on the three.
All right. Well, I just have to tell you, because every pool player needs a bunch of good excuses. So before I even start, I just got to tell you that I'm playing with a new cue and I have a new tip. Okay.
I know exactly how that feels. So
okay, stand by. Stand by.
Joey, the world is watching.
Carl, one thing you can't see here, this is a dead scratch shot in the side. So I have to jack up to avoid a scratch here. So it makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah, I can see that. It kind of looks that way. That's fair enough.
Okay.
Don't go too steep.
All right.
I knew you'd miss that ball, right?
You got me. You told me.
Listen, it's easy when nobody's watching, bro.
Oh, man. I feel like editing this section and doing this again.
Listen, you'd make the two ball now. Don't worry about it. Look where it's gone.
Jeez. I play like 700 speed too, so I'm okay. I can make some shots. Oh, man.
To be fair, I didn't fancy you sending it straight into that ball. I thought you was going to miss it on the short rail.
Yeah. I probably
that was bad, Joey. That was bad. That was bad. Oh, that is class. Listen, right, I forgot the question.
I know. You were just dying to see me dog that shot. You didn't even care about the question. But the question was, I know you said there wasn't a moment where you realized you could beat anybody. You were just kind of taking it, match by match, tournament by tournament. But I guess when I talk to a lot of pro players like yourself, there was an event. There was a particular tournament when they hit the pro level where it was like, oh, okay, I'm a professional. Was there?
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, if you're a professional, in my opinion, you're earning money from the game. Are you earning money from tournaments, or if you're calling yourself a professional pool player, to me, that means you're playing in pool tournaments, winning money, and that's how you're living. You don't have a side job or anything. But in pool, you see it a lot. A lot of people are running around saying, oh, I'm a professional this, and you're thinking, well, I've never even seen you at a tournament, mate. So I don't really, I don't know what you think a professional is, but that's what I think a professional is. It's when you start paying the bills. So I think I've always sort of won money playing pool, whether it be small money in small tournaments or a little bit of gambling. I've never done the actual hustling side of things. But I've played cash games and stuff. Yeah, maybe the IPT, when that was set up, we all thought we was going to be millionaires. But when the tour folded, I kind of got into the 9-ball game and just travelled around and just kind of like sort of did well in I didn't win the tournaments that Darren Appleton won, not by the volume he certainly won, but I placed high in all of them. I was like semi-finals of the World 9-ball. I lost in the final of the US Open. So I've always picked up money, and I suppose that's kind of it, really.
Yeah. So, one thing, you're a fabulous player and I loved watching you play, but I also really appreciate when you're behind the mic. Do you
Oh yeah, yeah.
enjoy doing that? I mean, I look at I've been commentating matches myself lately, and, I have two favorites. It's Jeremy Jones and you. And it's funny, you were both involved with the Mosconi Cup, but I find you two to be very different. I find you to have more color and you're more animated and humorous. And I find Jeremy to be just the facts, but he's very good with just the facts. Tell me about commentating. Is it something you really enjoy doing?
Yeah, to be honest, I do enjoy doing it, and it kind of fell a little bit lucky. I decided to quit playing the full circuit and flying around the world in kind of 2016, and one of my last events, I was playing, and I can't remember if I was still in the event or I'd lost, but Matchroom said, "Oh, do you want to get in the commentary box for one of the matches?" I said, "Yeah, no problems." And I was commentating with Phil Yates on this particular match, and Phil's like done sports commentary all his life. He does various different sports. He's done snooker for years. He does the golf, and he's a writer, so he's well respected in the industry. And I remember sitting there, and how it works is, so Phil will like start the match off after the ad breaks and close it before the ad breaks and things like this. So I'm just sat there, and I was I wasn't scared to talk, but I was thinking, let's not just start talking about the game and going on, because in my mind, I thought, how many people are watching that actually understand this game? So it's interesting you said like me and Jeremy are different, and that's because in my mind I'm purposely trying to be different, because I'm trying to speak to the guy who's never watched pool, as where Jeremy's explaining it to the guy that has played pool.
That's a great point, Karl. And in fact, it's one when I started commentating, my wife, she'll watch some of the streams that I commentate on. And I remember her telling me, you did a great job, but I didn't understand hardly anything you said. So
Yeah, because, well, it's like when you just dog that 2-ball, you're going, oh, it's going to scratch in the side. I'm going to have to do this. Now, if you start like going over that in pool terminology, if you like, the average Joe who's watching, they just don't have a clue. They just think you dogged it, which I suppose you did dog that ball at the end of the day. But so I'm just trying to like, and that's what I want to do with my YouTube channel as well. I want to try and talk to the people who don't understand this game, because to me, if I'm talking to people who play the game at a good level or a very high level, they already understand, the shots and things like that.
So you've mentioned a YouTube channel twice, and I'm all about promoting you and your business or whatever you're into. So tell folks what the name of the channel is and what you plan to do with it.
Yeah, the name of the channel is just Karl Boyes. I'm going to be I won't be doing drills as such and things like that, but I'll be doing small little tips, and it won't just be me stood at a table explaining something. I'll try and make it a little bit funny in my certain kind of way. I'll try and have music. Yesterday, I released a shot that Jason Shaw did at the Mosconi Cup, and then I tried to perform the shot to see how many attempts it took me. But try and make it into a small little video, just where if you sat on the toilet and you're on your phone, you can just watch it and it's job done. Because again, who's going to click on a video when you're talking about, straight pool and one pocket and nine ball when they don't really have a clue. So I'm just trying to engage with the non-fan. So that's the plan with the YouTube channel. And once COVID's over, I've got a few more things that I want to do. So just subscribe and stay tuned.
Yeah, that's great. And I think you're exactly the type of personality to do that. You can add humor, you can get people interested from outside of pool, because frankly, that's what we need to do to grow this sport, right? Because there's only a limited number of people who actually play the game and are interested in the game, and they support the game for sure. But we need to get people like my wife involved and excited. You know, you can walk into a pool room in the United States on a league night, there's 150 people in there, and they couldn't pick out Justin Bergman from a lineup, right? And he's one of the top players in the United States. So do you have any other ideas for kind of growing the sport?
I wouldn't say I've got ideas, but I would certainly say I'm involved with the company that can certainly make that happen. I mean, we're seeing the very first Matchroom US Open. Joshua Filler won it. Unfortunately, we couldn't have that event last year. They got the rights back to the World Nine Ball Championships. Unfortunately, that couldn't happen. And this year, I was kind of thinking, oh, God, what's going to happen this year? You know, we're good for a Mosconi, would think. I was thinking maybe they'll just squeeze in a World Pool Masters because they can do that with 16 players, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think they'd do what they've just done last week and release all their events and then add another little event in. But, you know, that's Matchroom sport. And me being from England, I know what, you know, Matchroom sport's about because I watch a lot of sport. You know, I follow darts, boxing, snooker. You know, these guys do everything and, you know, they're very successful and they got a lot of money behind them. And if anyone's going to make it work, it's them guys. And also, I think it's because they're promoters. They're not pool players or ex-pool players trying to run a tournament. There's a big difference. When you've got an actual promotional company and people who can't even really play pool and probably don't understand the game, but what they do understand is how to get the average Joe watching. And that is what we need, because if more of the average Joe watch, then we're going to get more tournaments and more money, even though we might not someone might not really like playing nine ball. Somebody might prefer playing straight pool, but you'll play nine ball if you keep getting paid, right?
Heck yeah. And, you know, I had Emily on the podcast and she was great. I didn't know her that well, but I know she runs top-notch events. And when I had her on the podcast, I was like, wow, this is the type of person that nothing's going to stop her. You know, she's going to make this work, even in a year like 2020, having the Mosconi Cup, which I want to talk to you a little bit about the Mosconi Cup from 2020. And I guess the biggest question I have, I've been talking to Jeremy, talking to Joey, haven't had them on the podcast yet. Alex scares the hell out of me, so I don't know if I'll even have him on the podcast. I don't know why. It's just when I asked him questions, he seemed very direct about his answers. But you're the first one out of the captain, vice captains to be on the podcast. Yep. And I guess my biggest question is you're all very accomplished players. And so for me, it would be super hard watching your team perform, knowing you're an accomplished player and that you could probably help your team. Did you have that feeling at all? Was that difficult?
No, I mean, a few people have asked me similar questions, and even, you know, I could be at the World Pool Masters commentating and people are like, oh, do you not wish you was playing? I was like, the only thing I honestly miss about playing pool is playing in the Matchroom events. And I said that when I'd never even played in a Matchroom event. That was always my goal, because to me, and I know it's probably different for guys in America because, you know, they're playing in pool rooms all over the States and, you know, they're playing all these other games. But when I got into American pool, I was playing 8-ball at the beginning and I'd grown up playing 8-ball as a kid. But the only events I could see that was on TV was 9-ball. It was the World 9-ball Championships. You know, like when Ephraim won it and Earl won it and Earl jumped on the table. It was live on TV. I think it used to be on Sky Sports live for 12 days, $100,000 to the winner. So I never seen like these tournaments in pool rooms where, I mean, there's a tournament going on right now in America, and I think Dennis has won the one pocket, and he's holding a check, and I'm looking at the check thinking, what's the point of that? And I know it's money and everything, but my point is, everyone needs to play on the same level playing field. And the beauty of Matchroom pool events is you all get to play in that one table arena with the cameras on you, and you all get to experience that same thing. And, they pay well, everything. So to me, it's all about playing in the Matchroom events. And when I quit, it's because I didn't want to play in all the rubbish events to get in the Matchroom events. I feel like I'd done my time, and it was just the right time for me to get out. However, if Emily's listening, can I just play in the Matchroom events and I'll come back?
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, you're not really, really done, are you? I've talked to hundreds or maybe even thousands of pool players over the years that are like, I quit, and they always come back. So you're not really done, are you?
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, when I stopped playing, I played in the 2015 Mosconi Cup, and I played really good that year in the Mosconi Cup. Everything just seemed to happen. And I went to the Derby City Classic in 2016 in January, and I played Oscar Dominguez in a cash game there. And I played that match because when I'm back home, I don't really play a lot. I'm on my own playing, and I find it lonely and boring. So I thought, well, if I set up a big cash game there and then try and learn the banks and maybe play the one pocket and all this, and then they have the big table, which I like playing that game. Did I play in it that year? I can't remember. So anyway, I played Oscar, but I did it to try and get me ready for the season, so I would get in stroke, because playing Oscar over 5 sets, it's a great practice session. And then after that event, I just knew I was done, because I couldn't face going to European tours where it's like $5,000 to the winner. When you've played in a Mosconi Cup with 3,000 people there, and you feel like, hold on a minute, I've played on TV, everyone's messaging on Facebook, you're doing all these interviews, you feel like somebody, you're getting paid well. And then you got to go and play a European tour in Italy with 200 guys who all play great when there's no cameras on them. I just thought, I couldn't get up for it. I lost to so many dead guys on that tour just because I was going into the match with such a bad mindset. So, when I got out of it, I just felt like it was the right time. But I got back into English 8-ball a little bit, so I quit playing American pool, but I played a few English 8-ball events. I've not played Q Sports probably for a year now, really, other than hitting a few balls for the YouTube channel. So I quit playing, but it's not like I've said, I'm done for life. I just stopped playing the crap, basically.
With the Mosconi Cup this year, Europe really shined. They pretty much dominated the event from start to finish. Is that kind of how you thought the event would go this year?
I felt like that's how it would go, and I felt like that's how it would go with the crowd. But obviously, because we couldn't have a crowd, I was literally like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I knew America, they had a strong team. They had Chris Robinson, who was a rookie. We had Fedor, and I know Fedor's world champion, but still playing in that event, it's still very, very different. So when it got announced that we wasn't allowed the crowd, I was literally like, it's tough to see how this is going to go. And I think on day one, that's what happened. Everyone was a bit like edgy. No one knew, because unless you was there, what you got to bear in mind is there's like the camera crew, the presenter, the commentators are locked away in a box, and we're sat behind our players, and the Americans are sat behind their players, and it's in a big room. And we was like, like on a Tuesday night, if you're playing for your team and you've got 5 of your guys there and the other team's over there and it's a bit quiet, I mean, are you all going mental cheering because you feel like it's a bit over the top? And that, even though it's a Mosconi, that's how we felt it was. We can't start cheering now because it's dead quiet. and on day one, it was like a complete car crash, and we was lucky in the end to get out 3-2, but I think it was probably a fair reflection overall. And we just said on day 2, we're going to bring it, we're going to shout more, and if it comes across like we're arrogant or it's stupid, it wasn't the case. It was more the case of, in that setting, we felt like it was the right thing to do, to G our player up on the table.
Can you give us a glimpse behind the scenes from the Mosconi this year? Maybe a conversation, something we didn't see that occurred with Team Europe back behind the curtain, anything like that?
Not so much a conversation, but me and Alex, we all know like Filler what he did the year before, and he's been MVP. He's a young man. He's probably been like the best player in the last 2 years in the world of pool. So we was thinking this kid's just going to go out there and do it again. But I think zero crowd affected him a little bit. I think he's the type of guy who likes to show off with the crowd, not in an arrogant way. That's just, it brings the best out of him. And we could see Jason Shaw was like a new Jason Shaw. And even though there was no crowd and that probably helped him, I think moving forward, when the crowds come back, I don't think he's going to go back to the old Jason Shaw. I think that's how he's going to play from now on. And we could see that. And in some ways, when the fans pick was Jason, we was half thinking, yeah, that's not too bad. That's played in. Listen, any of our guys could play the fans pick and win. We know that. But just that little feeling, we thought, yeah, we'll take that. That's not a bad result for us. So, nothing got said, but just that little thing kind of like, yeah.
What surprised you from the US team this year at Mosconi Cup?
I think there was a little bit unlucky at the end of the day when Bergman wasn't allowed to come because of COVID. A little bit surprised he picked Corey. Corey's a great player, but the last so many Mosconis he's played, he's not really played, good enough. I was shocked that Tyler Steyer wasn't in the team. I don't understand that decision. I don't know if it's some kind of politics or hate going on in the team. And that's pretty much it, really. I thought Chris Robinson played really well. He'll do well in the future. I've got a video coming out about Chris Robinson, actually. It's going to come out at the end, probably next Friday. It's a funny little video. I kind of like, when he lost to Kaci and it was 4-4.
Yeah.
I've done a video about the last rack, but I've been pretty kind because I've played in that arena and I know things can happen. And I know he won't take any offense to it. And yeah, at the end of the day, he's good on that table. He's got a good little cue action for it. And yeah, I thought he was one of the best players for America, to be fair.
Yeah, he might be coming by here tonight. He's actually in Phoenix, and we talked about playing a set here on my new table behind me, which is
Listen, Joey, yeah, you better warm up on that 2-ball, bro, before he gets there.
I know. I'll hit that. I'll set that up 50 times and hit it and make sure I make it. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think he played great for the US. And I was really happy to see it because, it's similar to the Tyler Steyer pick from a few years ago, where there was so much scrutiny, so many questions about it. Does he belong? And so I was really good to see him. I was really happy to see him step up and play well. And, I talked to him about that match against Kaci. And I had asked Jeremy about this, and Jeremy kind of brushed it off. But I said he took way too much time on the 2-ball. I don't know if you remember that rack, but he used it.
Hey, listen, Joey, yesterday I've done a 10-minute video for my YouTube channel all about that last rack.
Okay.
So on Friday, that's going to go out there. I know what you're saying on the 2-ball, right? He actually played a good shot on the 1-ball because sometimes you can land low on the 2-ball so you hit that pretty good. And I think he was thinking, shall I roll the 2 in? But he ended up playing, but he was good on the 3. For me, I don't want to spoil my video, but okay. I'll tell you a little teaser. It all went wrong from the 3-ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing he said when he overran, what was it, the 7 to the 8? He said he thinks it was kind of a rookie mistake where he just didn't look where he wanted to be on the 8-ball, and I appreciated that honesty, that, hey, I'm running out, everything's looking great, but I just got lazy and I didn't think about where I wanted the cue ball. And so he may have juiced it a little, but he also may have just executed the way he thought he needed to, but didn't take the time to think, where do I want that ball, which was kind of cool. But
yeah, obviously on the 7-ball, he didn't have the natural angle, did he? It was like one of them funny little shots where you kind of pumping it across, and if you get too much spin, that can happen, especially on that table. It's so fast, and Yeah, I mean, you just dogged that. Not that I want to keep going on about the two ball. You just dogged the two ball, and there was only me watching. Imagine all us guys watching poor Chris on the 7 ball.
I'm so mad I missed that shot. I'm so mad I missed that.
Listen, for anybody that's watching this, I was giving Joey so much stick before this because I said, I'm going to make you shoot that too. And he's going, hang on, I don't miss them 2 balls. I said, you'll miss it, pal.
I'm like, I'm never going to miss that ball. You're crazy. But so going back to your days playing in Mosconi Cup, you mentioned the thousands of fans that were there watching. How do you think you would have played this year in that environment?
Yeah, probably not as good as with the crowd. I'm not saying I would have played horrific. I don't know, but I suppose I've played in 4 Mosconis, and one of them was in my hometown. So you can imagine how, chaotic that was. So I've been used to like absolute, arena blasting noise, and it's going to be interesting. Touch wood in Vegas this year, we're allowed, full crowd back. And let's just say Fedor and Chris Robinson both make the teams again. They've played in a Mosconi, but they ain't played in one with a crowd. So in my eyes, they're still rookies.
Yeah. Yeah. How are they going to react to thousands of people there? Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm kind of curious if you have any advice for maybe up and coming players. So obviously guys like Fedor and Chris Robinson, they've put in effort, they put in time to get better. And there's other people out there coming up that are willing to put in that time. Do you have any advice for them to kind of progress their game to the next level?
Yeah, I think sort of now more than ever with the internet, there's so much things you can do on your own. You can go on, Facebook, YouTube, find loads of stuff. But I would say there's no substitute for playing under the heat. It's all right playing on your own, but when somebody's watching, or I'm not saying go and gamble, but just play for something, play for dinner. If you're a 16, 17-year-old playing with your buddy and you're pretty even, just play for dinner, play for a drink. Just keep putting yourself under pressure, because there's no substitute for feeling the heat. Enter as many tournaments as you can, and look at the guys, your favorite players, and see what they do.
So what do you do outside of playing pool? Even when you were playing a lot, did you have any hobbies or things that were, unique?
I like playing golf, just the usual stuff. Once upon a time, I used to like going to the gym. I need to start that back. I've got 2 kids, so that keeps me pretty busy.
How old?
Just my daughter's 9 and my son's 5 now. So that was the other reason why I decided to, quit just flying around the world. And
Yeah.
Life goes pretty quick. So I just thought, I've got to make a decision here. Do I fly around playing in rubbish pool tournaments, or do I see the kids grow up?
I think you made a good choice there. I have 3 under the age of 10, and I'm not quite the player you were, as you could tell by that 2 ball back there. But, today we have 4 soccer games. And so just being able to spend the time with them is great, and do pool as a hobby for myself. But I'm curious, being from England, do you have a soccer team? Football? You call it football team over there you root for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so much into football as I once was. As a kid, I was Manchester United fan, but when I got into pool properly and it got me hooked, I was too busy at pool tournaments at weekends and playing in tournaments and gambling and all that. So football kind of got pushed to one side. But I like watching the darts on TV. I'll watch England if they're playing in the World Cup or the Euros and things like that. I don't mind the UFC. I'm not saying I'm an avid follower of UFC, but I kind of like the UFC. I watch the big boxing fights, and I watch a tiny bit of snooker. It kind of bores me a little bit. It has to be the right player playing. Do you watch snooker yourself, Joey?
I watch a little bit. I mainly watch a lot of the YouTube videos, the highlights with Ronnie, and, like 147 in like 5 minutes. I mean, who does that? It's pretty amazing. So I like catching that, but I've never really sat down and watched an entire snooker match. I have played a little bit. When I was in college, we had a lot of kids in my college from India, and we had a pool room, and we also had a snooker table, and I got bored playing pool. And so I played some snooker with them. And so I found it to be an interesting game. Did you play a lot?
I didn't, to be honest. I played English 8-ball, and then I sort of played now and again, but I never got the right cue for it. I used to play with my English 8-ball cue, which was too small and too thin. But I've played a little bit, and I've never tried to make it as a snooker player. If I could have my time again, and I was 14, 15, maybe I'd just play snooker and see if I could have made it. I don't know, but it's the type of game that you really, really need to be dedicated and bang in the big hours, because it's such a difficult game to play.
I tell you one thing I did do, I think this is the move. I used to play in a tour. It was called the Planet Pool Tour on the East Coast when I lived out
Right.
there. And a lot of the rooms had 12-foot snooker table. Well, a few of the rooms had 12-foot snooker tables. So I'd get there early and I'd get the pool balls and I'd start banging balls in on the 12-foot snooker table. And then when you got to the 9-foot table, I mean, that thing looked like a bar
table.
box. Yeah, exactly.
Sure,
so that was a lot of fun.
yeah, that's a shrewd move.
Yeah. So, Karl, you mentioned Matchroom before and what an amazing job they do.
Yep.
And you also mentioned the schedule they just released. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, are you pretty excited for this year?
Yeah, I said earlier on, I thought maybe they'll just squeeze the World Pool Masters in because it's 16 players, so that's more than achievable. But Matchroom do things different. They just announced the full schedules, all going ahead, full steam ahead. But not only did they do that, they had a complete brand new event in, which is great for pool players. It's great for pool fans, because at the end of the day, we need more pool to watch. And in my opinion, the pool events that we want people to watch is the Matchroom pool events, because it's all done correctly. At least there's good money to be won. There's nothing worse than you're a professional pool player and you've gone to a tournament and one of your friends says, "Oh, I see you won that tournament. How much did you win?" And you go, "Oh, I won $1,500." It's like, oh, it's not great, is it? But when you're winning good money, people, they listen. That's when things get serious. So they've announced Championship League pool.
Yeah, do you know anything about that, Karl? What is that?
Yeah, it's kind of modeled on the Championship League snooker. It's not played live on TV. It's played on social media, which is great for pool because we can get all viewers. People are better watch this all around the world. All the details are going to be released next week. And I know that it's just going to be constant match after match, short races, just loads of pool for everyone to watch. Great for the players, great for the fans. And Emily's even said they may do this more than once a year moving forward. So
Nice.
if you're Fedor, Shane, Jason Shaw, this is big news. Matchroom, when I played, we had the World Pool Masters, the World Cup of Pool, and the Mosconi Cup. Obviously, the Mosconi Cup's a team event. World Cup of Pool is a doubles event. Now there's the World 9-ball, the US Open, the World Pool Masters, the World Cup of Pool, the Mozza, and Championship League. So it looks like Emily and the team, they're really striving forward to, make pool something. And in my opinion, and it's not a biased opinion, I would say this even if I weren't commentating involved, these are the only guys who can do something with our game for sure.
Going back to the Mosconi Cup, at the post-match press conference, I remember I could ask anybody one question, and
Yep.
I picked you. So, and we had never met, but I really appreciate your opinion on things and the color that you bring to a broadcast. We talked about that. And
Yep.
so I was kind of hoping to get you a little fired up and talk about where this year's European Mosconi Cup team would match up against maybe the best from the Philippines or Chinese Taipei. And you kind of dodged me a little bit. You didn't really give me a great answer. So
what did I say?
Well, you said, you have the Asians, they're good, but let's go back to Matchroom. And then you went forward with the Matchroom spiel, which is fine. And I get it. It was Matchroom's event and you didn't want to derail that. But I want to get the real answer from you now. How would they do against Carlo Beato and, Dennis and, a top team, maybe Alex, a top team from the Philippines, let's say?
Well, listen, only people involved in pool will obviously appreciate how good Asian players are. So, any team would struggle against any Asian team, but of course they can win. It's a tough match. It's hard to say. You can't sit here and say, "Oh yeah, they'd win easy," because they're not going to win easy. They can win, but they can also lose. Of course they can.
Is Europe going to have qualifying this year for Mosconi?
Again, I'm not 100% certain. I don't know. I don't know what other events may possibly go ahead. I presume European Tour's not going to go ahead. Maybe Matchroom, looking at their schedule of events that they've announced, maybe they'll just pick some kind of ranking system off their events. I don't have the answer, but common sense would tell me they'll do something like that as long as all their events will go ahead.
Yeah, because here in the States, we kind of look at this year, or at least 2020, there being an advantage for Europe, the fact that they got to handpick their team, which, in a way, we always talk about the fact that Europe could field probably 3 or 4 teams that would be competitive any given year. But do you think that was a huge advantage last year, getting to pick each player?
I think in the end, probably it helped me and Alex. I mean, obviously, Fedor qualified, so we didn't get to pick him. We probably would have picked him, but he was still a rookie, and we know what happens in the Mosconi Cup with rookies over the years. Sometimes they struggle. Definitely helped us the fact that we could, have phone calls and decide who we wanted to win. Because sometimes in Europe, the way the system works, and because the Euro Tours and other events are ranked quite highly, you can sometimes get that player who you may not handpick, but they're obviously a great player. And I'd rather pick the 4 guys, put it that way, than let it go to the rankings and see who sneaks in. But at the same time, it's kind of nice watching somebody go out there who's never played in it and struggle and see what goes on. Yeah, struggle, see what goes on.
Well, when you were saying that, it made me think of Kazakis, right? Because he had an amazing year, but when he got to Mosconi, it's just a different animal, and that kind of showed through.
Yeah, and maybe like Alex would have benefited from his first Mosconi being no crowd. I don't know, but I don't know. There's just something where listen, he's qualified for the team twice, so we know what he can do. But qualifying for the Mosconi behind closed doors in the events that they're playing to get in is a different animal than playing in front of 2,500-3,000 screaming drunks. That's for sure.
Who was your biggest rival from your playing career?
Oh, from biggest rival. I don't think I had a big rival, because I suppose
there wasn't someone like maybe you drew them in a tournament, struggled against them.
Well, I was just going to say that. No, I mean what happened was with pool, you're playing a lot of tournaments, and because there's no like kind of proper ranking system, it's not like tennis where Roger Federer has played Nadal has played Djokovic has played Federer. These 3 guys, for the last God knows how many years, they've played each other so many times, and they've got winning records and all that, in Grand Slam finals and all this. So they build up this, this head-to-head. In pool, it's a little bit difficult, because how many times do you really keep playing a certain player? One guy springs to mind, but I only played him 3 times. So is that a bogey player? But Pagalayan, he just always seemed to, when I played him, I mean, I played everybody, really. I played Earl in the Mosler singles. I played Efren 4 times in singles events. I've played everybody. And Alex Pagalayan, I played him 3 times, and he's beat me all 3 times in singles tournaments. And he's just played like everything's he's just played perfect. So possibly say Alex, but I mean, it's 3 matches, right? It's not really.
Was there anybody that you did not like to play?
Yeah, I don't really like playing guys who try and pull moves, or
tell me about a move.
Yeah, just people who I tell you what I don't like. I don't like playing guys who, when you beat them and they lose, right? They like just storm. I'm not saying sit around and talk, but they like storm off and they're making excuses and all this. and then you play them again and they beat you, but they want to stand and talk to you then. That really winds me up.
Yeah. It's funny. We have this Facebook group here in Arizona, pool players. And I remember posting in there one time that one thing that really gets under my skin is before the match, people will shake your hand, right? And then you beat them and they come up and fist bump you. And I would say, if you're going to shake my hand before the match, then shake my hand when I beat you, the same way I'm going to shake your hand, Well, then COVID hit, everybody was complaining, saying, I don't shake people's hands because they don't wash their hands after using the bathroom. Then COVID hits, and now I look like an idiot because everybody wants a fist bump. So,
well, that's kind of like what I'm saying, really. These guys want to speak before you play. And if you win, it's like they don't want to speak to you, they storm off. But then you could play them a month later and they beat you and they want to stand around and talk all of a sudden. It's like, at the end of the day, you want to win. But it's just a game at the end of the day, right?
So you've been pretty outspoken. Can you share a name?
Appleton was pretty bad like that.
Who's that?
Appleton was pretty bad like that. He'd like, if you beat Daz, he wouldn't want to know. He was like angry. He was on that vibe. But when he won, he you couldn't shut him up.
But you guys would meet up at the bar later, have a drink or something.
Yeah, of course. But that's his style. That's what makes him so good. And obviously, I've just got a different style, haven't I? So there's no issue with it. It's just different, isn't it? Right? It's like when I play pool, I'm sat in my chair looking around, and I can't really sit still, and things like this. And some guys just sit there looking at the table. So I might be thinking, what's he doing? But it's just, it's styles make fights, right?
Yeah. So you're saying that with the way you are, and I think I'm similar. If we played, I don't know what your Fargo is these days. I want to say it's high 700s, but I'm around a 700 Fargo. If we played, it would be a huge upset for me to beat you. But let's say I beat you in a race to 7 or a race to 9 in the tournament. You talk to me after, shake my hand, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? It's what it is, isn't it? As long as you're not acting like a jerk.
No, I'm not a jerk. I just missed 2 balls.
No, I mean, but it's like, it's a game at the end of the day. It is what it is. I just think life's too short, isn't it? Just have a bit of fun, have a wind up. And yeah, listen, everybody's different. This is what makes certain guys probably better winners than I was on the pool table at the end of the day. So respect to everybody, really. Did
you have any big confrontations in a match with anyone?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, a few actually. I remember playing. I was playing at the US Open, right, in 2015. I was playing. I won't say this was a big confrontation, to be fair, but I was playing Shannon Daulton in the arena table, and I was down 5-1, 6-2, or something like that. And as well as me, these pool players, that's the other thing that are good with Matchroom sport events, because the referee racks the balls and you're not allowed to go down that table and start looking at the balls. And me being from Europe and only ever really playing that way, I don't like the fact that these guys are touching the balls and they're doing this and they're doing that. To me, that's cheating, but they will turn around and say, well, learn how to rack. But I don't want to learn how to rack. I want to play pool. I'm not interested in standing there racking the balls. So I was playing Shannon Daulton, and he's like this all the time, racking the balls. And he's making the wing ball every time without fail. I can't make the wing ball, right? So I'm just sat there thinking, I've flown to America to play in a pool tournament, US Open, right? But I'm thinking, this is just another joke event, this is just a joke. Where's the logic in this? He knows what he's doing with the rack. And I just want to play pool. So because you play, that he's going to have more chance against me because he keeps making the wing ball and I'm not. So anyway, he plays a shot. He makes the 9 ball. The cue ball comes round and it's his cue on the table. So I looked and I went, Shannon, did the cue ball at your cue then? And he went, no. Because we were playing, that event is sanctioned by the WPA. So we're playing WPA rules, which I'm not saying the WPA are perfect, but I believe we should be playing under a certain set criteria rules.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only other way to move things forward. And we play all ball fouls. In snooker, you play all ball fouls, English 8-ball. But in America, you guys knock a ball and you start going, oh, do you want to put it back here or leave it? And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like, that's the art of the game, like, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said no. So I went, oh, okay, whatever that. So I sat back down. Ken Schumann comes out. He said, oh, is there a problem? I said, oh, I thought his cue ball hit his cue when he put his cue down. I said, can you have a look? He went, no, we don't have replay. I said, yeah, fine, no problem. Another guy comes out and says, we can have a look. So he has a look. He comes back out. Ken says, foul the cue ball at your cue. So I get like so much stick online. It's like people are threatening to kill me and all sorts, right? I come back and win the match. And that's the year I get to the final of the US Open. But at the end of the day, just don't put your cue on the table. What happens if the ball's going in the pocket? You're going to just put your cue on the table.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll just put that there. So the cue, because he's going, oh, well, it weren't going to go in the pocket. Oh, that's not the point. The point is we're playing all ball fouls. You fouled.
He pocketed the 9-ball and
he makes the 9. The cue ball goes 2 rails, and he just throws his cue on the table. And the cue ball it's his cue. But if the cue ball's going towards the pocket, that means you can just keep throwing your cue on the table.
Yeah. You know, I don't recall ever seeing that happen, but I have seen a lot of times. Actually, I've seen it a few times. I saw this one time Josh Roberts was playing in just a little weekly tournament. I happened to be in South Carolina, and he took, his jump cue, break jump cue. He took the butt off and laid it on the table, and he was hill with a guy in this match, and he makes the jump shot. The cue ball comes around and he can't get the butt of the cue off the table in time, and it hits the butt, and it always makes me wonder, like, why people do that, why even put that on the table. But I've never seen it happen like it did with Shannon. So you caught a lot of heat. Yeah. You caught a lot of heat for that one.
Oh, yeah, I got loads. But listen, at the end of the day, I'm European, he's American. I'm sure a lot of it was his buddies, but, I'm trying to play in, like, professional pool tournaments. I'm not interested in playing, like, on a Tuesday night and where you might play different rules. Like some guys make the ball and just throw the cue ball up. Yeah, if you're gambling and that's what you do, I don't have an issue. Just play by whatever rules you're playing by. I was playing by the rules, and that's that.
So did you spend time in the United States during the IPT? I want to say, didn't you spend like a year here, or were you kind of going back and forth?
I was going back and forth. I wasn't, if you remember back then, they picked, people had to put a CV in or something, and you had guys saying there was 10-time world 8-ball champion and all this just to get an invite. So I didn't know about it at this time. I found out about the tour when they'd already selected so many players. So they had a tournament in Vegas and a tournament in Reno. So I went over to America to play in qualifiers to qualify for them tournaments. I qualified, and then I managed to play in both tournaments. I like that game because 8-ball's kind of, it's my background, but I sort of also know it's not good for TV. I think 9-ball, if you're going to play a pool game, out of all the pool games, I think 9-ball is the best game for TV. I think that's probably the best chance pool has got, because 8-ball can look a bit clustered, and, people watching, they don't, why are you going a certain way, taking a particular finish, and it's hard to understand. As where, if you watch golf, somebody watching golf might not realize how hard golf is, but they know the golf ball's got to go in that hole, right? And that's it. Same with snooker. You go red color and that's it. You don't really have to know all the intricate rules to just sit and watch it. So I think 9-ball's the best game for TV, but I did love playing on the IPT. I thought the format was great, and you played a lot of matches, and you could sort of get into your game and get on that fluent run. And yeah, it was good times.
That's really interesting that you think 9-ball is best for TV, after saying not too long ago about how annoying it is when somebody's just making the corner ball every time. And, a lot of people say Corey Deuel ruined 9-ball, not maliciously, but because he kind of figured out the whole racking system and was able to get the soft break working. And I know there was a couple US Opens there where he was just doing that every time and getting the same pattern. And I had Ozzy Reynolds from CSI on, and he was talking about their YouTube channel, which has quite a following. And he said it's not even close. The number one watch matches that they have are bar table 8-ball, out of all the matches. And I happen to love 8-ball. It's my favorite game because I believe there's a lot more creativity involved into which balls you choose, how you go about running the rack, and really the order in which you shoot the balls to maximize your chances of winning. So I'm a huge 8-ball fan, and I'm kind of surprised you said 9-ball because a lot of people think 9-ball's dying.
Well, I tell you why is because there's two reasons. One reason, Matchroom Sport are taking over 9-ball, right? We've got the Mosconi Cup, which is the best pool tournament period out there. Tell me what bar table 8-ball tournament can stand up to the Mosconi Cup.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
And reason number two, 9-ball's a bit like comparing it to golf, snooker, darts, tennis. You play 9-ball and that's it. With 8-ball, you could play on a Monday night and play a certain set of rules. And on a Wednesday night, you play another. You go to China and they're playing their version of pool. In England, we're playing our version. There's too much of it going on and it's all very confusing. So for me, 9-ball's 9-ball. We don't go to different tournaments playing different rules. We just play 9-ball. So that's why I think 9-ball's the game for TV.
And you're a former world 8-ball champion, right?
I grew up playing 8-ball. That's my game. That's my background. I won the World 8-ball Championships, which was sanctioned by the WPA. It was the event where it's not been around for a few years. But if you remember when Wu Cha-Ching won the World 9-ball Championships, he won the World 8-ball in the same year. Ronnie Alcano, I think, did that as well. Efren's won the World 8-ball Championships. But I just think I think it's hard to watch. I think it's not easy to watch. And I think it looks very misleading on TV. And do you know what I'd like to see? I think 9-ball, the world's a different world now. You've got phones, tablets, you got Netflix. You watch TV when you want to watch TV now. So there's a lot going on. I think 9-ball is the type of game you can just sit and have on the TV and glance. You don't have to be glued to it, but you can be glued to it. But I mean, your kids come running and you're like, yeah, whatever. And it's on the TV. You're glancing back up. It's fast paced. The rack's over. It's quick. And what I would love to see happen, I would love Matchroom to bring the women into the Matchroom events, because there ain't no sport in the world where the women are competing with the men. And I think that would give pool a little chance and a little, what's going on here? That woman beat, remember the World Pool Masters, Han Yu nearly beat Shane in the first round. She should have beat him. He won 8-7. He come back strong. He played great. But I think what a story it would be. And you know how well these women play. These women can beat the top men. There's no doubt about it. So if you have like a mixed kind of circuit going on, there's no mixed circuit going. The lady tennis players play the ladies. The men play the men. The golf, the women have their own tour and the men's have their own tour. So I think that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had two women on the podcast. I've had Christina Tkach and I've had Kelly Fisher. And I asked them both, did they think a woman could be the best player in the world? And neither one of them thought so. And when I talked to Kelly, she said specifically, first of all, she said that there's just far more men that play. So it's a numbers game. So you're going to have men that are better players, which I agree with. But then she said that she thinks it has something to do with the man's ability to focus on one thing, whereas women tend to be more multitaskers. And Mike Page from Fargo Rate took a clip from that podcast and created a video out of it. And he broke it down statistically, which that's his specialty.
Right.
In that analysis, he determines that there is no advantage that men have in pool, looking at millions of games that have been played in his database. And so that's an interesting point. And I would love to see that. I would love to see a woman win, the world championship or some event that Matchroom's putting on. So I hope that happens. You think there's a chance that could happen? We'll see more women in it?
Yeah, I think it's already started to happen. If you look back at the World Pool Masters, Kelly played in it. Yasmin's played in it. Yasmin played in the World Cup of Pool one year with Albin, her brother. Han Yu from China, she played Shane. I just think that'd give our game a little bit of a different dimension. And yeah, if Kelly had to play Shane race to 100, fair enough, she's going to struggle. But who's going to watch a race to 100 anyway? On TV, if you're playing races to 5, 6, 7, 8s or 9s, they've got a chance. There's no doubt about it. And I think, yeah, I would like to see that. I think that would be an interesting spectacle. And yeah, I'd be keen to commentate on that as well.
So you mentioned your YouTube channel. Do you have any other plans or things that you're doing business-wise, or are you working with any companies in the pool industry? I just want to give you a chance to kind of shout out any endeavors that you have going on.
Yeah, I'm involved with Salotto, American guys, top guys. I'm not sure if you've heard of their
Oh yeah, I have.
their app. They've brought out an app where they're gonna like bring pool players together, so you can download the app. You can meet fellow pool players. They're doing monthly competitions. It's a new business. They was hit by COVID, that kind of stalled them a little bit, but they're great guys. And if you haven't got the app, download the app and stay tuned, because lots of good things are going to come to the app. It's a great idea, great concept. Also, I'm involved with Clash pool tables, fantastic pool tables. So I'm going to start doing a lot more stuff with them. Never know, I might pull the cue back out and play certain events just for a bit of fun, not treat it as, full-time professional again, but, maybe send Oscar another message, see if he wants another little bash in the ring or something, just to get the juices flowing. Yeah, just
let's do that. Let's get that hooked up. I had Oscar
Yeah.
on the podcast, and Oscar, he's just a great guy, and he's always willing to play. And he's playing Fedor. They're doing a little exhibition coming up, and he's got
I'm commentating on that match.
Are you?
Actually.
Yeah. He's got a huge match coming up with Johnny Archer as well.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
actually,
and our buddy Ben is actually going to be streaming that match, which I got this interview because Ben knew you, and I appreciate you taking the time to do it. And how do you know Ben Sutherland?
I went to work at the US Open in Vegas, and Ozzy Reynolds asked me if I wanted to commentate on their events in Griff's right before it. So I said, yeah, I'll come, no problem. So I went, and Ben was one of the commentators. So I was like working alongside Ben in the booth. He keeps trying to get on board with Matchroom, but I'm like, mate, you got to walk before you can run. Just relax, No, but he's a good guy. I'm just busting his balls. I like Ben. He's a good guy.
Well, I've been in the Facebook chat with you and Ben, and just watching you guys go back and forth, man. It's complete comedy. It's awesome.
Well, listen, it's about to get better, because as soon as you release this, I'm going to clip that missed 2 ball and just keep firing it in every day.
Oh, why didn't I make that shot? I'm telling you.
Listen.
I'm setting that thing up like 100 times when this is over.
Joey, I reeled you right in. You should have said, I've no cue, and just like, the tip fell off. I would have never known or something. You could have just said, there's no tip on the cue.
Hey, Karl, if I make that ball, then I get no action. I gotta mind my P's and Q's here. Okay. So
that's a good shout.
There was a plan. So one thing I like to do is kind of get referrals from folks that have been on the podcast. And this has been a great episode, and exactly what I anticipated with your personality. Who else would be a good interview for me that maybe you could connect me with, or you just think might be entertaining for me to talk to?
Good question. Has Jason been on yet? He's pretty funny.
Jason Shaw?
Yeah, has he done one yet?
No. I've had somebody reach out to him. We almost got it, but I haven't heard back from him. But yeah, I'd love to have Jason on.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He's honest. He'll just, you can ask him anything and he will answer. And he don't really, not that he doesn't care, but he'll just answer it, and it kind of is what it is. I think he's a little bit busy with his pool room at the minute, and with COVID, I think things are a bit crazy. But I'm sure Jason will definitely come on and have a chat with you. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Tricky, really, isn't it? Because the problem you've got, so the Europeans, they're good guys, but it's like you said, Alex is a funny guy, but you're like, oh, I'm a bit scared of him. But I think that's just the Europeans in general. They come across like that because, they don't speak, their first language isn't English. And then when they talk in English, it's like, all right, mate, chill. But it's just the way it is. Alex is like, he's a funny guy. He's a good guy. Maybe get Alex on, see what he thinks to the Mozza.
Awesome. I'm going to try to do that. He did scare me, though. I asked him a few questions at the Mosconi press conferences, and he was just sharp and direct with his answers. And I'm like, this guy hates me.
Nah, it's just the way he speaks English, because obviously he's Dutch, and no, he's all right. He's a good guy.
What's your prediction for the US team for next year's Mosconi? Who do you think they're going to pick?
Well, for me, if you said to me, because obviously I don't know what's going to go on with rankings and all that type of stuff, but
we don't really have ranking events here. I mean, we did at one time, but
yeah, I mean,
doubt there's going to be any.
Yeah, if I had to pick 5 guys to play,
yes,
I would. See, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, because I was a little bit shocked they left Tyler out. I mean, yeah.
Look, we never know what is happening, right? Tyler might not have wanted to play. I don't know.
Listen,
I had a podcast the week before the selection was made. Everybody was shocked by the selection. I'm not sure. Maybe there was some chemistry issues.
No, I think originally when they left him out the team, I didn't really think too much of it, because I thought, well, they've brought Chris in and they've left Tyler out, because to me the other 4 guys should always be there, right? And I know some people, I've heard a few people say, oh, well, I won't pick Shane because he's always slumped in his chair. But Shane's got to play. If the other guys play well and show up, then Shane will also do that. You can't leave Shane out of the Team USA. The thing is with Shane is he always seems to play that big clutch match. He doesn't, I know it might sound weird, but you can play like a singles match in the Mosconi Cup where, so for instance, Shane played Jason, but I'm sure if Shane would have kind of preferred to have played Fedor, because Fedor's never played in a Mosconi Cup. He played Kazakis, didn't he? I think he played him twice. He beat him twice. So he always used to play Darren Appleton in that big match. So he's always played the player who, can go out there and beat him, no problem. And there's been that level mutual respect. So for me, Shane's always going to be in the team. I like Billy in the team, great for the team. Skylar, of course. Justin Bergman, of course, another guy who's got to play. Fair enough. For me, the original team, what they picked, fair enough. Yeah, Tyler were in the team. They swapped him with Chris. Not a problem. But when Justin wasn't allowed to travel to England because of the COVID, I'd have still thought, well, pick Tyler. He's played in the last 2. They've won the last 2. He's a great cueist. He's got that European style mentality where he's always practicing. He's one of them. He's a big practicer, always on the table. He's probably running everywhere and, doing all the right things, eating freaking cucumbers and aubergines and all that. So I was a bit surprised. Like,
did you say eating cucumbers? Is that what you said?
Yeah, eating cucumbers and aubergines. Now, I was just a bit baffled. I would listen. Yeah, they didn't pick him originally, but when they lost Bergman, we all know that was a big blow. But they still could have picked Tyler, a guy who's played in 2, a guy who's won 2, a guy who's not scared to play in the arena. He knows what's coming. I don't think you pick Corey, a guy who's like, he's had good memories in it, but he's had a lot of bad memories in it. And that is not an easy place to play pool when you've got bad memories. So I think that was a big, a poor mistake from their captains, to be honest.
The rivalry, the weirdness between you and Joey Gray, was that real, or were you? It kind of seemed like you guys were super competitive, or yeah.
No, I mean, I think obviously, listen, we don't really know each other, so there's no like major beef. It's a bit like a boxing match, isn't it, where 2 boxers or UFC fighters, they go head to head. I think Joey got a little bit overawed with it all, and I kind of just knew what buttons to press with him. He was like, he was a rookie as well. I felt like I could have walked around that arena in my slippers. I was that comfortable. Because, I've been since 2010. I've been a part of 7 Mosconis I've played in 4, and I've been to the other 3 working. So I've been like, I'm like part of the furniture. So I was just taking it all in my stride. And the very first day when the teams walked out, I could see he was sat in his chair. And he's like, his eyes were popping out. I thought, I've got you here, son. You're out your depth here. Yeah. So there's no beef. I had on the last night. Me and Joey, we had a drink for about an hour and we were chatting and having a laugh. Yeah, there's no beef. It's all fun and games.
Karl, this has been great. I really appreciate your time. You took this on short notice and we made it work. I want to see if you have any final thoughts for the fans out there, people interested in the sport, or maybe people who aren't into pool, but hope to be soon. So what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are everyone should get behind the game of pool. It's played worldwide, right? Everyone's played a game of pool. Matchroom are involved. They're taking over. If you're a promoter and you run other events, be scared because they're taking over. The takeover is happening this year. Stay tuned. Watch all the pool. Follow me on YouTube because shit's about to hit the fan.
I love it. Let me stop the recording. Wait, before I stop the recording, I'm going to make the 2-ball. I'm setting it up one more time.
No. I'll tell you what you can do. To redeem yourself, I'll let you shoot the 5-ball or the 4-ball in the same corner. Pick which ball you want. Go.
Why does the cue ball have to be on the rail every time? Why?
It's on the rail. Take the 5-ball then. It's off the rail.
Yeah, but okay.
You've got to redeem yourself, Joey. Come on.
Karl, I'll shoot
hard.
I'm going to shoot the 4. But looking at the 4 and the 5, both going into that same corner pocket, which shot do you prefer?
Do you know, I think there's a case for both of them, but I'm presuming you've not played much pool today, so you're going on cold. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
I've hit 1 ball and not
if it was me, I'd be playing the 5-ball just because I'm close to it. However, it is in a bit of a blind pocket. It's a blind pocket type shot, but just because I feel like I can get my hand better settled, I would take the 5.
So if this were 8-ball, let's say, and I had solids, there's no way in the world I would ever shoot that 5-ball with the 4-ball there. I mean, maybe there's a circumstance where it would make sense, but I'm trying to tell you that 4-ball to me is a lot more appealing. And it's funny. I had
shoot it then, Joey.
I'm going to shoot it. But I had CJ Wiley on, and one of the things he said, which I thought was really cool, is when he knew he was a great player was when he stopped looking at balls and saying that's a hard shot or that's an easy shot. They were just all shots. But I look at the 5-ball, and to me, that's a hard shot. And I look at the 4-ball, and that's a lot more palatable. So,
well, the thing is, I don't play, so I'm just purely thinking because I'm close to the 5-ball. But I know the 4's near the pocket, but I don't like the distance you've got there.
I'm gonna cinch it.
You're going for the 4-ball.
Yeah, pocket speed.
I don't fancy for it.
Hold on.
Listen, you can bet what you want. You ain't making that 4-ball.
Hold on. Here we go. I got to move my mic because
it's all right. It's all right.
My setup, I pulled it closer to the table.
There we go.
I'm so nervous.
That looks a tough shot, bro. Oh, hey, look what I've done. Look at the camera.
I'm going to make a shot, Karl.
Look, I was videoing that. I knew you wouldn't make that ball.
I did it.
Listen, Joey, that's experience. You should have shot the 5-ball because you're closer.
Hold on. I'm going to shoot that.
You're desperate to make one on this podcast, aren't you?
It was right there, wasn't it?
A little bit more to the right.
I'm going to be blocking you. This
way. About there.
You're not going to see it.
No, I can see it. I'll hear it.
Okay, hold on.
You good. Listen, you ain't going to make it anyway. Oh, I can see it. You good. Joey, listen, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I suggest you should subscribe straight away.
Hey, Karl, let me tell you something, okay? Look at my ear. Okay, here we go. There we go. Let me tell you something, and this is really important. I had these pockets cut to 4 1/4. So those balls would have went.
Listen, they wouldn't have gone when Diamond lift the frigging top of the table off, pal.
Oh, it was terrible. Hey, I have a couple matches on my channel. You got to check it out. Once this airs, I'll send you the link. Check out the matches on my channel because I actually can play a little pool. Maybe.
Joey, have you subscribed to my YouTube channel?
I will do that today. I promise.
You need to do it right away because having watched them 3 shots, my channel will help you.
Okay. Copy that. Thanks a lot, Karl. I appreciate it.
No worries, bro. Stay safe and speak to you soon.
Okay, man.